Hello, everybody, and welcome to the live stream on interview advice with the Faculty of Health and Life Sciences. We're really pleased that you can join us. My name's Josie, and I work in the Faculty of Health and Life Sciences Marketing Department. Today, I'm joined by members of our academic staff, a student who's from the Faculty of Health and Life Sciences, and our admissions team, who will be able to give you some advice and guidance on how you can best prepare for an interview if it's part of your application process. Our panel will also be on hand to provide you with some insight into what it's like being a DMU student here. We'll also be answering any questions at the end of the live stream, so please do leave a comment and we can pick this up towards the end. Or if you would like to ask our student anything, again, please feel free to leave this so that we can pick it up at the end. So firstly, let's start off with introductions. As I mentioned, I'm Josie and I work in the Faculty of Health and Life Sciences in their marketing team. So if we go over to Federico.
Hello everyone, I am Federico. I'm a senior lecturer in medicinal chemistry. I work in the School of Pharmacy at the Montfort University, and I am deputy admission tutor for pharmacy.
Brilliant. Rebecca, could you tell us a little bit about you?
Yeah, so I'm Rebecca. I'm a senior lecturer in mental health nursing on the nursing course, and I'm also an admissions tutor for the nursing course.
Brilliant. And then we have Gemma.
Hi, so I'm Gemma. I've been at Montfort University for a number of years now. I returned to education as a mature student. So I came to DMU as an undergraduate, then a postgraduate, and now I'm working in admissions. So here to help you today with your admissions queries.
Brilliant. And last but not least, we have Jay. So do you want to tell us what you're studying, Jay?
Hi, yeah, I'm Jay. I'm a fourth year pharmacy student. So I'll be able to tell you a bit about the student perspective of getting into university and how it is from that.
Brilliant. So let's start then. If I give you a little bit of background in terms of university interviews, so they're quite an important part of the process, and I'm sure you're probably trying to prepare for one if you've got one coming up over the past couple of months. We're here to make this interview process as a pleasant of an experience as possible that we can for you. All of our interviews at DMU will be conducted by Microsoft Teams from the comfort and safety of your own home. So, as mentioned, we're joined by academics from two of the larger schools within the faculty. So shall we go over to Rebecca, and would you like to kick us off and tell us why interviews are so important for nursing for your course area, and provide some hints and tips as to what students can do, make sure that they include?
Yeah, of course. So it's really important that we conduct interviews on the nursing course, mainly because the nursing course leads to a professional registration on the nursing register. And the nursing register, and all nurses, trainee nurses and qualified nurses, are governed by the Nursing and Midwifery Council. And they provide us with a set of professional standards and professional accountability by which we must abide. And so the interview process helps us kind of introduce that to you really, and helps us assess suitability on the basis of the nursing course and those requirements. And it also gives us a chance to hear about your passion for nursing, why you want to be a nurse, and what skills or experiences you might have that you might be able to bring to help the lives of others whilst you're on the course. So we really do want to hear about your experiences of either nursing or healthcare, or just working with people in general, and about your understanding of why it is you'd like to be a nurse. That's what we're really interested in. There's also obviously the separate fields of practice. We've got adult nursing, mental health nursing, child nursing, and learning disability nursing. And so, we're really interested to know why you'd like to go into your specific field of practice.
Brilliant. Thank you for that, Rebecca. And just moving on, is there anything you'd like to add to that, Federico? So why is assessing someone's suitability for the course for pharmacy so important?
Yes, thank you, Jyoti. So, it's important, obviously, for us in the interview panel or the members of staff they're going to interview the future candidate to determine the suitability for the role of a pharmacist. So we'd like to know what attracted you, the candidate, in the first place to start a career in pharmacy. And also, you like to gauge, you like to understand the level of passion for helping others, because at the end of the day, you want to see empathy, probably like the other course of Rebecca just mentioned. You want to see how nice you are to help other people out, because at the base of this profession really is empathy, so relate with patients. I'm a pharmacist myself, so before going to academia and do research, I was working in a pharmacy, so I can subscribe to that concept. In terms of what we're looking at, what the panel is looking at when we interview you, I can give you some tips after this briefing if you wanted to, but essentially we're looking at communication skills and numeracy skills. It's 30 minutes kind of assessment period, as Jyoti said, is conducted via technological means this time around due to the COVID pandemic. So it's going to be via Teams or the platforms. And we're looking at how you react under sort of stress in the kind of timed session environment. Not very hard questions at all, kind of A-level stuff, but we want to see how you react. So communication skills, we want to see how you present yourself, you express your thoughts, your line of thoughts. Numeracy skills, again, very easy questions, maybe conversions of unit to measures or brief calculation, multiplication, divisions, etc. Also, there's a little session about values and judgment. We want to know how you're ethical. We put you in front of an ethical dilemma. Very simple things again, and then want to see how you react. Learning skills, there's a little script to read and then absorb the information and metabolize and reply within 10 minutes period. Also when we talk at the beginning, we want to know why you study pharmacy, so try to have some background information about the pharmacy profession and why what a pharmacist does and what other professional figures are in the pharmacy, working in a community pharmacy in a hospital. If you have any work experience, that will help as a tip, or even shadowing as a volunteering option, it would be good. Jyoti, is it okay if I keep talking? I can talk a bit more if you want.
Absolutely, that's fine.
Yes, so other tip, yes, just prepare the first line, and maybe we'll ask you why you want to become a pharmacist, so be prepared on that thing. Have a look at the General Pharmaceutical Council, which is the regulatory body for the professional pharmacist, and the Royal Pharmaceutical Society in terms of job descriptions. Technicalities, we live in now in a digital kind of world. Now the last few months, this is improved a way to communicate with other people via a computer, so it's important that you check your apparatus before starting an interview. So check the equipment before starting the interviews. We have in the pharmacy, I don't know about nursing, but we got 30-minute slots, so the academic is gonna carry the interview, and we have a kind of busy schedule apart from our daily job, but for the interviews we have a busy schedule, so 30 minutes is what's been allocated to a candidate. So we don't want to push that back, and we don't want to have delays, because obviously that have a chain effect and impact on other people. And be natural and show how passionate you are about studying with us.
Brilliant. Thank you, Federico. That's really, really useful. And Rebecca, I wondered whether you could do the same for candidates who are probably got their nursing interviews upcoming in the next couple of weeks. Would you be able to provide some hints and tips, and kind of similar to what Federico's gone through?
Absolutely. Well, our nursing interview follows a very similar structure. So they're 30 minutes long, and we also ask about values. We ask the main question about why it is you'd like to be a nurse. But it's also really helpful if you can demonstrate that you've done some reading around the role of the nurse, so that you're aware of the core kind of competencies, you're aware of the role of compassion and care in the role of a nurse, that kind of thing. And it's not about necessarily, you might not have any previous caring or nursing experience, but if you've had experience kind of caring for a family member, or if you've had experience in just kind of supporting people around you really who might be suffering with ill health in any way, or working with the public. Quite often there's some very relatable kind of customer service type skills that can be transferred into nursing, but it's really just about an awareness of what it means to be a nurse. We obviously ask questions around people's understanding of diversity and how people's diverse needs might mean that you need to respond differently as a nurse. And we also ask you to reflect on any difficulties that you might have had, so any kind of times where you've received negative feedback or any criticism, and how that's actually changed the way in which you do something. So part of being a nurse is about you having to kind of have a degree of self-awareness and a degree of reflection. So we're really trying to look for those kind of the beginnings of those skills really in the interview, but definitely prepare a preparation around kind of reading about the role and just kind of showing some understanding. And we really would like to see passionate and enthusiastic applicants. Nursing is a lifelong career if you want it to be, and it can be very demanding, but the course does prepare you for life as a registered nurse, and so it's about kind of you demonstrating that awareness really.
Oh, thank you very much, Rebecca. That I'm sure the panel probably would agree that all this is vitally important information. And I know whilst we've got you here today, we've kind of got covered off nursing and pharmacy, but I'm aware that there are wider courses within the faculty that probably interview as well. So whilst we might not be including them within this discussion, if viewers have any questions relating to those, we do have admissions representatives with us so that they are able to kind of answer those questions. So again, please feel free to just drop them in the comments section. But yeah, so we'll move on to Jay. Jay, you've had an interview as part of your course for pharmacy. Whilst it wasn't done via Teams, are you able to just share how you found that experience and how you found the whole process?
Yeah, so the DMU interview was actually my first interview as kind of all of the pharmacy interviews that I had. So it was kind of the most scary, nerve-wracking thought of what to expect. But I can kind of say that it's just a chat. It's just, as you can kind of see, it's just seeing, are you suitable for a career in this profession? So it's healthcare professionals. Are you going to do the right thing? So we're a bit of a situational judgment testing. Say if you saw someone in the street that was in pain, would you go and help them? And just kind of expanding on from that. And so everyone's kind of really supportive. So you talk to the academics, and they just want to kind of know where you're coming from, why you want to do your course, and kind of see through what you want to do in the future, I guess.
Brilliant, Jay, thank you. The other thing I was just going to ask you was, obviously this was, your interview here at DMU was probably one of many. And did you find it a really good opportunity to find out a bit more about De Montfort University and kind of the place where you'd be studying?
Yeah, definitely. So the interview, actually, for me, it was an interview day. So I got to kind of experience the university, walk around the university and understand a bit more about it. Also, I'm not sure if it's happening this year, but it was kind of a mini introduction from the head to school, just to understand the process of the university, what the benefits are of university at De Montfort, and also pharmacy. So it's really helpful. The interview is both an opportunity for the academic and also for yourself to ask some questions, so you can understand a bit more about the university and the course, of course.
Brilliant, thank you. And lastly, do you have any advice you'd give to students who are probably going through that whole process of interviews coming up over the next couple of weeks and months?
Yeah, so I'd say obviously prepare, but just relax when you're in the kind of situation. Just talk naturally. Obviously have a few things that you want to talk about, whether you want to talk about work experience or whatever you've done in the past. Just kind of talk naturally, and it should all be fine.
And as part of your interview process, I know you mentioned that you had some like tests and there were some questions, but would you say that, you know, most of it you found, you know, relatively doable? There wasn't anything there to kind of stumble you up. It's there to kind of bring out the best in you, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I know people say this to you all the time, but universities, they're more to help you rather than kind of at A-level situations. They're trying to trick you, trying to catch you out, whereas universities, they want you to do well. And you can see that from that first day on the interview day.
Oh, brilliant. Any advice you'd give to those that are preparing at this moment in time?
Yeah. So prepare, research a university. I'm sure you've already researched universities and why you want to do your specific healthcare profession. So if you just know a bit about your subjects and your university, then any questions should be able to come naturally to you.
Brilliant. Thank you for that, Jay. And we'll move on to Gemma. Can you tell us a little bit more about the best way to prepare for an interview for those that have got one coming up?
Absolutely. So, I can give you 3 pieces of key advice today for everybody that's watching, moving on from what Jay was saying, really, in terms of how the university is here to help you. In admissions, we're definitely here to help you through every step of the journey. So first bit of advice would be keep an eye out for communications from us and take the help that we offer to you. If you keep an eye out for the emails that come through from admissions, we're here to help you through every step of the process. So we'll be sending out interview guides to you for each of the courses, and they're full of handy tips, lots of useful information, and many of the important things that you need to prepare for or should think about in advance of your interview. So for example, as Federico mentioned, for some of our HLS courses, there is a test aspect to the interview process, and you will be told in advance how you can prepare for that and what the test will be regarding. So moving on from that, I can tell you a few sighs of relief, I think, here, but there won't be a test this year for nursing or pharmacy. However, you will get asked some basic numeracy questions as part of the pharmacy interview. So moving on from that, the second bit of practical advice would be to practice. And again, this is something that other colleagues have touched on today. If, for example, you know that you're going to get some numeracy questions, then do be prepared for that in advance. You might be told that a calculator isn't allowed, but you can use a pen and paper. So save yourself from feeling flustered and definitely have a practice in advance. Likewise, you can try and organise a practice interview for yourself. So that will help to give you some experience of answering questions about yourself in an unfamiliar environment. So by asking somebody to put questions to you and vocalising your answers out loud, what that will do is naturally eke out some of the gaps in your knowledge and help you to think about how you can refine your answers. And that will certainly help you to be more confident on the day. If you do give yourself a practice interview, then try and set that up using MS Teams if you can, and that will give you a chance to test out the setup, which will probably be quite unfamiliar to many of you. And then finally, the most crucial piece of advice, which again touches on things that Rebecca and Federico and Jay have all mentioned, is put in some research and be prepared in respect of your subject knowledge of what you might be asked to talk about. So lots of our HLS courses aren't taught at school or college. And what you need to do is show that you've got a really good grasp of what the profession is and what it will require. So if, for example, like nursing, your course is accredited by a professional body, take a look on their website, read around their profession. From there, you might then like to do some wider reading into the profession that you're going to be entering. And that's certainly highly regarded by interview panels, and it will demonstrate that you've got a real interest and passion in the subject area that you're applying for. You could also conduct further research online, but look at things like magazines, books, journals, for any of the topics that might interest you. And that will allow you then to talk about recent developments or ongoing debates. For those of you at the beginning of kind of research area, a good starting point might be to look on our website. So if you look up under the course guide for the course that you're applying to, you could extract information on what might come up in conversation at interview. So for example, if you wanted to apply to diagnostic radiography, if you go to that page on our website, you'll see that the recruitment process mentions that we assess applicants for interview based on the core values of the NHS Constitution, and that those are values which at DMU we believe are essential in any individual involved in patient care. So by doing your homework ahead, you can certainly get to understand what those core values are. On that page, it also tells you things like how professional conduct during the interview will contribute to the decision-making regarding your application. So you can certainly find out by doing your homework in advance what matters to us at the university and what types of things we're looking for. It's a good idea to have a think about those types of things and be prepared with examples. So if you look on our midwifery page, again, that lists attributes that your interviewers will be keen to establish that you display. So it will say things like having clear communication skills and interest in the course, evidence of relevant reading, capacity to take responsibility and participate in teamwork. So get yourself some examples ready, and then when you are asked questions, you can talk knowledgeably about your subject and moving into that profession. And if you have taken all of those steps, you should have plenty to discuss. And your research efforts will also give you the opportunity to make your responses personal and memorable to your interviewer. Remember that we see lots of personal statements and we interview lots of students. And if you want to stand out, talk about something that's personal to you rather than trying to give a generic interview. And then finally, just before I hand back over, on this note, as a student with us, you might get the opportunity to do some fantastic opportunities. So we have international experiences that are related to your studies through things like our DMU Global programme. That allows students to go on things and has enabled students to understand, for example, things like the healthcare provision in Amsterdam, witness midwifery care in Peru, and teach children about health hygiene in India. So if you haven't got any direct experience, you could maybe talk about your aspirations in this respect, or talk about a journal that you've read or contributions that you want to make to future research. So go ahead, do your research, and then you'll have plenty to talk about. And also remember, try to relax, like Jay said, take a step back, take a deep breath. We don't expect you to know everything or to have done everything. We're looking for potential. And your interview is about you. So if you've done all of this prep, you should be able to give a confident interview. Sorry, Federico, if I've spoken more than you have. I think we're in competition. I will be quiet.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Gemma. That's really useful. We touched on Microsoft Teams being used for interviews this year. How will that work? So will they get an invite? Would you just elaborate a little bit on that one?
So because of the current COVID-19 pandemic, all of our interviews will take place this time on Microsoft Teams. So just to let all of our applicants know, that is a free application, and essentially what it does is allow you to make video calls over the internet. If you're considered suitable to be interviewed, then we send an email out to applicants with a link which will ask them to book on for an interview date. So they then click on and will be shown a range of dates and times that they can select from. If there are any if it's not possible for you to come to any of those, for example, then applicants just need to get in contact with us in admissions. Once that date has then been selected, then an MS Teams invite will be sent out in advance. That can vary depending on the time of the year that an applicant comes through to us. We do try to give you at least 2 weeks notice wherever possible, but we do have some really busy times. So just bear with us as you can. So for applicants, just remember to accept the invite. along with the invite, they would also get things like the links and the guidance on what to expect on the day. And there will be detailed information as well on our website on what to expect and how to navigate a Microsoft Teams interview. And then, basically just check that everything is working in advance. If you have any problems, there's a troubleshooting guide online. Applicants can contact us in admissions whenever they want to. We're available in all of your usual ways, by phone, by email, social media accounts, lots of different ways. And for applicants, if you have got any problems, try and let us know as soon as you can. And if anybody is applying that has a specific learning difference or would like adjustments for interview or wants anything in a different format, again, just let us know. We're here to help you. But Microsoft Teams, nothing to worry about really. It's quite a friendly interview from the comfort of your own home, which is great. So
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that, Gemma. And I'm sure people have probably found that really useful. So if we just move on to the next bit of our talk. So we, for some of our courses here within the faculty, if you're successful at your interview and you've been made an offer, we'll be sending out some information regarding non-academic criteria. So that's essential for our nursing, midwifery, and probably some of our allied health profession courses. So please make sure that read your emails, and these requirements can include things like disclosure barring service, self-declaration form, occupational health check. So just bringing Rebecca back into this conversation, as a nurse, can you tell us why these are so important for some of our nursing courses?
Yeah, absolutely. So because it's a professional nursing course that leads to a professional registration, and because as a nurse and as a student nurse, you're working with some of the most vulnerable members of our society. So you may well be working with vulnerable adults or vulnerable children, and you are in quite a sacred position of trust as a nurse. Families and caregivers and patients and the public put a lot of trust in us, and they expect us to uphold certain professional standards. So it's really important that we, have members of our profession who are of good character, essentially, and who are kind of fit and healthy and able to do the job. Now, the reason we ask for a DBS check is just to check that there aren't any convictions that would kind of bar you from working with vulnerable people. Now, if you do have anything that you're worried about, or any convictions or anything like that, doesn't necessarily mean that you can't be a nurse. It's all about your individual circumstances. Obviously, there are certain convictions that mean that that you can't work with vulnerable people, but we do assess kind of individual circumstances, and we do really value people's life experiences. So, if people have had kind of issues in the past, that kind of thing, that are well gone and spent, and people can reflect on their experiences and use their experiences to help them work with other people, then that it can be taken into consideration in some circumstances. But it's also about kind of assessing that you're healthy enough to be able to be a nurse. But again, if you have got a health condition or any issues with abilities, then that doesn't necessarily mean that you can't be a nurse. It's again about assessing your individual circumstances and just making sure that you are kind of healthy enough to be able to do the job. So health conditions and that kind of thing won't rule you out from being a nurse either. In fact, it's often quite good if you have got an awareness, that special kind of awareness of what it's like to have a health condition, that can actually increase your empathy and increase your ability to be able to be an effective nurse. It's all about kind of having the effective disclosure and assessment processes in place, just so we're aware how we can support you as well, really. But again, it all relates to kind of upholding these professional standards.
Brilliant. Thank you, Rebecca. Gemma, is there anything that you'd like to add to that?
So just kind of a little bit of information, really. So just to let applicants know that if they are made an offer on one of our professional courses, then further details about if they need to complete any of those extra requirements will be sent out to them following their interview. Non-academic information tends to be sent out from May 2021 onwards. So it might be there might be quite a gap between if you're applying early and you then getting any further information on this. But it's a really important part of your application that these requirements are fulfilled. So if we do contact you from admissions, please keep an eye out for any deadlines and submit all of your information on time to us, or respond with us if you've got any delay. So on that note, just check your email regularly, check your junk box so you don't miss anything, and respond as promptly as you can do, because the sooner you respond with information to us, the quicker we can help you and progress your application. We cannot accept you onto certain courses without you meeting those requirements, so it is imperative that you act on our requests. Again, as Rebecca said, we're here to help you, so ask us if you've got a question, and we'll do what we can to help out. Just be aware that we deal with hundreds of applications in admissions, thousands of applications, and we have some really busy times during the application cycle, just as with academics who are doing interviews. So try to be prompt when you're sending stuff through to us, but if we can ask you to bear with us when waiting for a response, but we will get back to you. And we will help you out. So yeah, just keep an eye out really for your emails and do what we ask.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for that, Gemma. I think unless anyone else wants to add any more interview advice, give them our applicants any tips, we can move on to Q&As. So if we have a look at some of the questions that have been coming in. We've got one here from Lauren. Hi, had my interview for mental health nursing yesterday, but didn't get asked one of the most important questions, why I wanted to be a nurse. I would have loved to have been able to answer that.
Okay, well, it might be we don't follow a script when we're interviewing. Obviously, we're all clinicians in the nursing team or researchers, and obviously now academics. But it could be that just from speaking to you that your passion for mental health nursing came across, and so it may be they didn't feel the need to ask you that specific question of why be a nurse. It could be that from what you told us from your experiences, and from your UCAS statement, and from the way in which you would have answered the other 10 questions, it could have been quite clear to us. So we won't always ask a standardised kind of script sort of set of questions. It's very much about kind of talking to you as an individual and getting to know you. So it could have been that that information was gleaned just from talking to you. So yeah, so it's not about kind of preparing for the same specific questions, but it's about just making sure that you're able to kind of get across to us why you've chosen that field of practice, and that in itself can answer the question, why did you want to be a nurse, I imagine.
Thank you, Rebecca. And I think sometimes it's important to remember you have a set amount of time as well. And when you can see passion come through, it's kind of stating the obvious sometimes. But like you say, you know, it's one of those where you kind of have to mix up some of the questions. Thank you for that. Shall we take a look through the next one? So next question, when will children's nursing interviews start?
Well, they've already started.
Yeah.
So all the nurse interviews commenced yesterday, and they happen kind of maybe once or twice a week, right the way up until the end of the cycle.
I think we might have lost Rebecca there. So Gemma, would you like to pick that one up?
Yeah, so really carrying on from what Rebecca was saying, we've started interviews and they will carry on all the way through really. So it would just be a case of waiting to hear from us. We deal with so many applications, and from an applicant perspective, it might feel a little bit frustrating that you've spent all of that time writing your personal statement, sending your application in to us and waiting to hear if you've got through to interview stage. But do bear with us, we will get round to your application and we will get back to you, but you've just got to kind of sit and wait out the process. Our cycle runs all the way through from October time through to this time next year, so it is a year-long cycle. So just wait for us, be patient, and keep an eye out on your UCAS track, and hopefully you'll get that email that you're hoping for, and we'll invite you to interview.
Brilliant, thank you for that, Gemma. And shall we move on to our next question? which is when are we likely to get interviews through for midwifery? Gemma?
Same as the last question, where we've started the interviews, and hopefully you'll hear from us as soon as possible. We do understand that applicants want to have an answer as quickly as they can do, so we do try to progress through applications as quickly as we can, but often they have to pass between various different pairs of hands before a decision is made and go through various different checks. So just wait patiently for us and we'll be in touch with you as soon as we can.
Brilliant, thank you. And shall we take the next question? So we have one, as we're in the pandemic, will the entry criteria be looked at as at an individual basis? I work in the NHS and currently doing my Access course and completing my Maths and English level 2. I don't think we've missed the last bit of that question off. But worried about how long lockdown will affect me going through these grades due to more online than classroom support.
Do you want me to take that one?
Yeah, would you please, Gemma?
Yeah, so for most of our HLS courses, I would say entry requirements are very strict. So if there's a specific entry requirement in there, it does need to be met for you to be able to get a place on the course. So thinking about it now in terms of the entry requirements that you need to get will give you the chance to maybe go off and get the extra support that you might need, and put in the extra work that you might need to do. We do appreciate that we're operating under really difficult circumstances at the moment, but for the entry requirements, they are quite fixed, and you do need to satisfy those to be able to get onto the courses. Sorry, I hope that answers the question. It might not be the answer that you were looking for, but it is best to know in advance that if we ask for a specific GCSE grade or a certain number of points, that is what you need to be looking for. So if you think you need the extra support now, I would certainly say to go to your education provider, although you might be doing things online rather than directly in the classroom. Just see what extra support they can offer to you, and if you're worried about meeting those grades, just see if there's anything else extra that they can do to help you.
Brilliant, thank you for that, Gemma. Shall we go on to our next question? So one from Tabby. Hello, just want to confirm what you mentioned earlier, that there are no tests included within the nursing interviews this year.
No, there's not. However, numeracy is tested throughout the course. So we last year and previously we have tested numeracy skills upon entry to the course in an interview. So that's not tested at the moment, but it is tested obviously throughout the actual course. But no formal tests at the nursing interviews this year.
It's a relief. Okay, shall we move on to the next question? So one from Anita. Do you consider Access courses for diagnostic radiography, and is there any test this year as an entry requirement for the course, please? So maybe Gemma, if you could pick that one up for us.
Yeah, you were going to. That would be one that I would need to check for you. So we need to cross-check that against our entry criteria. So if you could bear with me, Anita, I will try and check that for you while we move on to another question. Or if you want to pop an email into us at admissions, we can certainly get back to you and give you the accurate information on that one. But I'll see what I can do while we're online, see if I can find out for you.
Thank you, Gemma. Shall we move on to our next question while you have a little rummage around? Okay, so these are a couple of questions that were sent in earlier. So what if I'm running late for my interview? What can I do? I think you touched on this, Gemma, earlier in terms of just getting in touch with us and letting us know, but I'll let you fully answer that question.
Yeah, so if you have a look on our correspondence that we send through to you, it will have all of the contact details. So there'll be a telephone number, an email address. We do understand that there are certain circumstances where something goes horribly wrong on the day and there's a difficulty for you. So just let us know in advance rather than later, if that makes sense. And we can always see what we can do to reschedule things for you.
Brilliant, thank you. And there's a couple more that we've had prior to that. Another one that we've had. So another one from Anita. Due to COVID-19, is it hard to find placements? Do you consider alternatives? So I'm assuming this one is probably relating to nursing, but we'll also get a pharmacy view on it too. So do you want to start off, Rebecca?
Yeah, so in nursing, obviously due to the pandemic, we've had quite a lot of adjustments that we've had to make. So there were a lot of students who were due to go out on placement when the pandemic hit, and some of our placement providers were unable to take certain groups of our students, so for example first year students, but we have been able to kind of readjust things because the programme is 50% theory and 50% placement. It did mean bringing certain blocks of theory forward so that placements could be conducted slightly later in the year, and that is what's happened. We've had all of our students now out on placement who were delayed going out in placement into March. So because the course is across 3 years and because it's 50% theory and 50% placement, there is a certain amount of flexibility that we can kind of use really to be able to adapt to these sorts of circumstances. And we're working with placement providers all the time to provide different and unique placement experiences. So especially in nursing, your placement experiences won't just be in inpatient kind of acute, you know, the stereotypical sorts of environments that you think of. We actually use a wide range of placement providers, and certainly in mental health nursing, you know, we are utilising placements such as kind of like therapeutic farms and that kind of thing, where people go and work and can experience kind of you know, nature therapy and all that kind of thing. And we look at placing some of our child nursing students into nurseries and that kind of thing. So we're looking, and we extend past that hospital environment. There's also a massive range of community placements, and there's a huge amount of community healthcare that happens. So yeah, so if the hospitals are perhaps unavailable, then we do look to provide other alternative placements as well.
Thank you, Rebecca. Federico, do you want to pick that up for pharmacy? Because I know that we do have integrated placements within our pharmacy course too.
Yeah, the situation is pretty much the same as the one Rebecca described. We have interspersed throughout the 4 years course M-Pharm. We have placement in various hospitals, or even in community pharmacies, and we've been selective this year. So I think the first and second year will have a virtual placement. So you'll have kind of online visit to hospitals or being in contact with sort of hospital settings. We wait and see for next year. So hopefully the cohort in third year will resume normally. But so we're talking about 2021 entries. So it should be all right. But we don't know as yet.
Brilliant, thank you. Just picking up the next question then. Got one from Mariam. Just wanted to ask about pharmacy year 0 course. Is the interview the same as normal pharmacy? So is it the same as the normal pharmacy course? So Federico?
Yes, I can confirm it's exactly the same, and so you prepare in the same way.
Brilliant, thank you. And if we have a look to see if there are any more, yeah. So we have another one here. So I joined late. Sorry if this has been asked before. It's okay. Is there an interview for M-Pharm course this year? Federico, are you just able to quickly touch on some of the points that we probably made a little bit earlier in this live stream?
So interview with pharmacy. Yeah, I think the schedule starting from next week or the week after next, and we'll have hourly slots allocated to our members of staff, because the members of staff in School of Pharmacy going to conduct the interview, because probably they are the best knowledge and capabilities to assess future pharmacists or candidates who wanted to be a pharmacist. And yes, so the answer is yes, and there will be. So be prepared if you applied. I think German admissions will contact you with us appropriate slot, and as we said, try to make sure you're confident to use this platform. So MS Teams, I think the one is going to be utilized, so make sure you have your mic or working. There's no background noise. Sometimes it's difficult to ask questions and reply to questions. It's difficult not only for you, the listening, but for us as well. So technology has to be kind of top notch, and punctuality. So again, that's another thing. If you can be on time for the interview, it'll be
brilliant. Brilliant. Thank you, Federico. Just touching on that one, will you just give like a quick overview in terms of, I'm assuming viewer probably missed your little bit of talk on pharmacy and how you're well, the structure of the interviews this year. Are you able just to give a quick summary of what they're going to be entailing and the structure, if that's okay?
Yeah, no problem. No problem. It's very simple. We have 30 minutes of allocated for each candidate, and it's structured in 3 sections. So the first section, we want to assess your communication skills. So we let you talk. We do kind of step back a bit and let you talk about your aspirations and your willing to become pharmacist. And there are some questions we can ask, but mainly it's down to you to assess.
I think we might have a little bit of interference there. Sorry about that, technical issue. Oh, I don't know if that is me. That's gone, I think. Right. Did you want to quickly summarize for us, Federico? Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. So after the first session of the actual interviews, a one-to-one interview, we move on to the kind of values and judgment and the kind of learning skills. So another 10 minutes, maybe about a scenario, we'll talk you through. You're going to tell us what's the right things to do. And the last thing is numeracy. As we said, numeracy is very important. So you got to pass a little maths test. There's nothing extraordinary, nothing more than A-level stuff, but will allow you to react under kind of pressure. And you need to answer 3 out of 5 questions correctly. I think that's it. There's the three main things you got to prepare.
Brilliant. Thank you for that, Federico. Shall we move on to our next question? What if I'm having laptop issues? Gemma, I think this one's probably for you. Oh, no, we can't hear you.
Sorry, I muted myself when it went noisy the last time. Right, yeah, so same as we said previously, things like laptop issues, running late, if you might have a test coming within your interview, anything like that, all of the information will all be sent out to you. So read the guidance that's sent out to you. Firstly, that will explain to you how to contact us if there's a problem. Contact us nice and early if you can. We can help you with things like laptop issues, or potentially reschedule your interview for you. Things like tests and things that are being planned will be explained within that guidance that is sent to you as well, so you'll know how to prepare. So it kind of goes back to the tips that I said to you at the beginning. Read everything that's sent to you, because anything that you need, all of that information is going to be sent in there. And I think if you start that out at the beginning of your university journey when you're applying, you can follow that through, and Jay will probably say the same of when you're a student as well. Anything that you need to know is always sent out to you, so just keep reading your emails and keep on top of things when you're a student that your lecturer sends out to you, and the answers are always there for you. And if you can't find it, give us a call or pop us an email and we'll help you.
Brilliant. Thank you for that, Gemma. And just moving on to the next question. Bear with me. Right. I'm going to pick one from Hannah. So if one has deferred and wants to apply again for the 2021 cycle, can they keep the deferral as an insurance perhaps, or will they have to apply again as everyone else will sit in the interview again? So Gemma, maybe one for you.
Yeah, just trying to head around that one slightly. So if the applicant has already got a deferred place, sorry, what was the question again?
Yeah, so if one has deferred and wants to apply again then for 2021, can they keep the deferral as an insurance or do they have to reapply?
So if you've already got a deferred place, that place is there already for you. Sorry, I'm confused by the question.
It's okay. What we can probably do is just respond to that one in the comments, if that's okay.
To come back to us, it does all get quite confusing in terms of insurance places and which places we can hold and which ones we can't. So sometimes it might be based on your specific kind of needs. So just pop us an email and we can help you. Sometimes these admissions queries do make us scratch our heads. So apologies, I can't do that one right now.
That's okay. And we have time for one last question, which has come through from Lauren. So if a placement is not offered, can this be reviewed or is it a final no? Sorry, Rebecca, we're struggling to hear you. Could you help with that one, Gemma?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, Rebecca, I can't hear you.
So it's a tricky question, that one. So this year, if it's kind of like a COVID-19 related question, if we can't offer a placement, it might depend on the COVID-19 situation. I'm wondering if that might be what the question is in relation to. We do have a dedicated section on our website which gives lots of information on frequently asked questions around coronavirus and what's happening in respect of teaching and provision and placements and that type of thing. And I guess it's kind of a moving obstacle for us. The question, it might depend on what the circumstances. So it might be that placements have changed, which is, I guess, something that Rebecca touched on, or it might be that they've had to be moved around a little bit. So I guess it might depend on the context of your question, really. It might be another one that you just need to pop us an email about and just explain a little bit more about what you mean, and then we can answer your question a bit more accurately for you. So yeah, pop that one into us and we'll have a look for you.
Brilliant. Thank you for that, Gemma. And we're going to have to finish the live stream there. So thank you, everybody, for listening. And again, thank you, everybody that participated in this. For more information on live streams, visit our webpage where you can find out more information. Our interviews landing page, we're constantly adding information to that page. So when you have your interview coming up, please do feel free to take a look. Keep coming back to that page. Like I say, we're adding content all the time. If you want to find out more about studying at DMU, why don't you come along to our next Digital Open Day, which is taking place this next Saturday, Saturday the 14th of November. Again, you can have an opportunity there to speak to academics, current students within each of the courses. And we also have a Applying to DMU 2021 Facebook group. So again, you can meet other people who are potentially thinking about doing the same course as yourself. There'll be lots of questions in that group. So again, please feel free to add yourself to that. We really hope that you enjoyed today's session, and we're going to be trying to host some more of these over the coming weeks. So please keep your eyes peeled, and we'd love to see you again soon on one of them. Thank you very much, everybody, and we hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.